They say a good marriage is quiet. But lately, I've realized this silence isn't peace, it's just the sound of me disappearing.
I used to think a bad marriage was loud. Screaming, slammed doors, broken plates. The one I lived in was much quieter, and for a long time, I didn't even realize I was drowning. Manipulation doesn't announce itself. It whispers patiently until you forget what your own voice sounds like. I met my wife Clara in college. She was magnetic, confident, emotional, intense in a way that made me feel chosen. When she wanted something, she went after it without hesitation. I mistook that certainty for strength. Being with her felt like standing next to a fire, warm, exciting, a little dangerous. I didn't realize how badly I'd be burned until years later. The control didn't begin all at once. It never does. At first, it was concern disguised as love. She didn't like my friends much. Said they were immature, a bad influence. Slowly, I stopped seeing them. It just felt easier than arguing. Then came the questions. Where was I? Why did it take so long to reply? Who was I talking to? If I got defensive, she cried. If I stayed calm, she accused me of not caring enough. Eventually, I learned that peace only existed if I agreed with her version of reality. If I worked late, she accused me of cheating. If I came home on time, she said I wasn't ambitious enough. When she exploded in anger, she would apologize afterward, blaming stress, childhood trauma, a love so intense it scared her. And I believed her because I wanted to. I told myself that relationships required patience, that loyalty meant enduring discomfort. Years passed like this. The worst part wasn't the fights. It was the gaslighting. Arguments she later denied ever happening. Threats she claimed I imagined. Bruises on the walls from thrown objects that somehow became my fault. I began to doubt my own memory. I started recording conversations on my phone just to reassure myself that I wasn't losing my mind. The breaking point came on an ordinary night. I had stayed late at work to finish a project and texted her to let her know. When I got home, the house was dark. She was sitting in the bedroom, lights off, a bottle of wine half empty, her expression eerily calm. She accused me of having an affair and showed me a message from an unknown number implying intimacy. I swore I had no idea what it was. She didn't listen. She screamed, threw her phone at the wall, and lunged at me. I restrained her, terrified of hurting her, terrified of what would happen if I didn't. Later that night, she cried in my arms and apologized, telling me she loved me too much to think clearly. By morning, she acted as if nothing had happened. When I tried to talk about it, she laughed and said I must have dreamed it. That was the moment something snapped. I realized this wasn't a bad phase, this was my life. The next day at work, a colleague noticed something was wrong. I don't know why, but I told him everything. Saying it out loud felt like stepping into fresh air after years underground. He didn't minimize it. He didn't tell me to try harder. He told me it was abuse. That word terrified me. Abuse felt too dramatic, too final. But once I heard it, I couldn't unhear it. That evening, instead of going straight home, I met with a lawyer recommended by my colleague. I didn't plan anything drastic. I just wanted to understand my options. The lawyer listened carefully, asked questions, and explained patterns I recognized instantly. He told me that leaving would be the most dangerous time. Not physically, perhaps, but emotionally and legally. He advised me to prepare quietly. So I did. I started documenting everything, saving messages, recording conversations. Reaching out to family members I had been slowly cut off from, I began therapy in secret. Every small step felt like betrayal, but I reminded myself that survival sometimes looks like disobedience. When I finally told Clara I needed space, she exploded. She accused me of abandoning her, of ruining her life. She threatened to destroy my reputation. To take everything in the divorce to make sure no one believed me. For the first time, I didn't back down. I moved out the next week. The aftermath was brutal. She followed through on her threats, spreading lies to friends and coworkers. Some believed her, others didn't. I lost people either way. But I also gained something I hadn't felt in years, control over my own breathing. The divorce took months. She played the victim flawlessly, crying on cue, telling stories that painted me as cold and abusive. But facts don't cry. They just exist. In the end, the truth held. Living alone was strange at first. Too quiet. Too free. I didn't know what to do without constantly anticipating someone else's mood. I had to relearn simple things, what music I liked, how I wanted to spend my weekends, how it felt to make a decision without fear of punishment. Healing wasn't a straight line. Some nights I woke up convinced she was still there, waiting to accuse me of something. Other days I felt overwhelming guilt for leaving, even though I knew staying would have destroyed me. Slowly, the fear loosened its grip. I reconnected with old friends. I apologized for disappearing. Most welcomed me back without questions. I took up hobbies I had abandoned. I remembered who I was before my life revolved around emotional landmines. A year later, I ran into her by accident. She looked smaller somehow, less certain. We exchanged polite nods and nothing more. I felt no anger, no fear, just distance. That's when I knew I was free. I don't tell this story because I'm proud of how long I stayed. I tell it because manipulation thrives in silence. Because loving someone doesn't mean erasing yourself. And because sometimes taking action isn't dramatic or violent, it's quiet, careful, and absolutely necessary. I didn't destroy her life. I saved my own. If you recognize your own story and mine, please know you're not alone. Help is available. Reach out to a trusted friend, a family member, or a professional. There are hotlines and resources that can guide you safely. Taking that first step is the hardest, but it's the first step toward reclaiming your life. Thank you for listening.